Good afternoon. I am waiting some students. Perhaps they will not join. This is not a good habit. Today, as I have said, that we will start the course of LLM second semester. To discuss about the course of LLM second semester doesn't means the student will claim in future of the LLM second semester and automatically promote it in the second semester. They cannot claim it. But it is in the interest of the students, because if student will not be in touch or will not be interact with the teachers, and they will face the problem relating to the continuous study. And if there will be the continuous discussion with your teachers, and this will help you to prepare better than the preparation of yourself. And the second reason is that I thought this is a period the teachers are not doing much work except to organize webinar and other courses. And thus it is a opportunity. It's a good opportunity for teachers as well as for the student to come together on the virtual platform. In this virtual platform, the participants or the students who are sitting at their places, maybe home or some other places, and they are getting the benefits of this technology. Therefore, it's a good opportunity to learn more and more through this technological system. And perhaps all the students might be arranged the syllabus of LLM second semester. If you have not arranged, then ask to your friends who have the syllabus or search the website. Just you have got the first semester a student, the first semester's syllabus. In the same way, you will also get the second semester syllabus. This is not a matter of discussion. The matter which requires to be discussed, that is the course contents and method of study. Under the course contents, as you have seen in the LLM first semester, there are the 4 units in each paper. and the compulsory questions shall be asked in the examination from each unit. The second aspect which requires to be highlighted here, that is the internal examination and external examination. Under the internal examination, at present the university have the plan to introduce the CBCS course. In the system of the CBCS, or in the pattern of CBCS, the student will get the grade. Grade system is there, not the mass. But at the same time, there will be sessional test. 3 sessional tests will be there. And in this year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the student has not done much work. Just they have completed the formality by writing only one assignment in one paper. In future, apart from the assignment, student will give the internal examination having the 1 hour's paper, and that paper will have the mass, total mass, only 10 mass, 1 hour. There will be this 3 sessional tests, and the best 2 will be selected for awarding the mass to the student by the university. Best 2. But perhaps you may be lucky in this respect. That's why I have used the word perhaps. The university will apply this system prospectively, not retrospectively. There should not be any confusion. The meaning of the prospective is very clear. It is very clear. It means the student who will took the admission after July or June, whatever the situation will be there, that system will be applied on them. But in universities, it is a system of 1999. It is a system from 1999. I'm not discussing all these aspects. What is CBCS? In CBCS, one paper is open choice paper, elective open choice paper, EOP. The meaning is thereby that the student will study in first 2 semesters open choice paper of another department, of another discipline. For example, the law student will study the course as offered by, as a elective course by the political science, geography. Even if the science, it is open for all. In 2 semesters, only one paper in 1 semester. That's it. That is also the system in this CBCS, and it has implemented in the center universities from very beginning, according to the direction of the UGC, based on the higher education system of developed countries. It has borrowed from the other countries, but due to some shortcomings in Kumaon University, the various times it has been attempted to implement the CBCS. Ultimately, university completely has not success in these efforts. Okay, that is the administrative part, but whenever our student will go in another university or taking the admission in PhD, in postdoctorate, in PG courses or in other courses, in engineering, medical, and other professional courses, if there will not be any CBCS system, a question mark may be there in their message. Question mark. So many things are there, but I'm not entering into that domain. As I have said yesterday, that we, normally I am using the word we, not I, because of the help of the students, to participate in the mechanism or method of self-study or discussion method. Participating of the student compels to the teacher to use the word we. We have decided that we will focus some essential points. We will focus on some essential points of media law. If you will start, or if the student will start to study the media law, please, the material, as you know, that the sufficient material is available in the internet. And it shows that there are some components of this paper, and these components has been divided into the units. And the component under the first unit, we have already studied. Under the paper 4, unit 3rd of LLM first semester, some chapters of the unit 1st of paper 1st, LLM 2nd semester, we have studied. Under paper, perhaps the 4th, unit 3rd of LLM first semester. Again, it is a revision. But I will not leave by submitting my arguments that we have studied. Here also, we will discuss in detail by discussing the provisions of international law, regional laws, and then finally, Indian system of the media law. Okay, if we will see and search the curriculum of various universities, if we will search the curriculum of the various national, center, and state universities, we are getting the information that it is a separate course, not paper. Media law is a separate course, either in the form of diploma course or in the form of specialized course. And you may be aware about the difference between the diploma course and the specialized course. Or in some university, this is a certificate course. It is a complete course. But here, for the purpose of LLM, media and law, as a special course, having the 4 paper on media and law, specialization in that area. In those universities where there is the specialized course as media and law, there are 4 papers. A group is there. Group of papers is there. Under these groups, a detailed study of media and law. Because media and law is indirectly a 4th pillar of democracy. As you know, that it is a 4th pillar of democracy. Why its name is media? It is a source of information. It is a source of information. It is the instrumentality of the information. To whom? To the public. About which? About the activities of the administration. About the activities of the administration, about the activities and functions of the government, about the basically about the system which is going on in the society, information. Thus its name is media. And the source of media is, means the means, tools of the media. Media itself is a source. But what are the tools of media? The tools of media are the printing, electronic form of the tools, either in the printing form or at present the electronic form after the 2000, when the IT Act came into force in India. In India, when it has been legally recognized the electronic source, means electronic means of or electronic tools of the media. And these are the newspapers, printing for magazines, and the pamphlets, even if the books, reports, and the notifications from the government, this is printing. Another side, under the electronic, as you know, the discovery of radio is one of the oldest in the country. That was electronic from very beginning, before this system of internet. Worldwide electronic information, there was radio. And radio was, the transmission through the radio was one of the tool of the media from the 18th century. You are aware about it. Discovery of this Betar ka Tar. This is a system of the transmission by using the mechanism which is called the electronic mechanism. Then gradually various tools are there. That may be the television, that may be the video conferencing, that may be this is one of the method of using this Zoom, Google Meet. So the various sources, various tools are there of the media. And another point is why the media is called the fourth pillar of democracy. Why the relevancy and the importance is given to the media, whereas it has not categorically mentioned in any legal system of the particular country. Freedom of press, you may say, in some countries there is a freedom of press, including the USA. We have discussed the first 10 Amendment, which is known as Bill of Rights of 1791. A question will ask in your LLM first semester, I hope that all the students shall write the source of international law. The question again remains the same, that why it is the fourth pillar of democracy. You might be heard that this is a fourth organ, in the sense the pillar means the organ. Why? As I have said that categorically it has not mentioned in any legal system of the country. Because of the reason that, number one, the free press and free media is only possible in the democracy. Why and how? Because the voice of the people reached through the government or governance. Voice of the people reached to the government and governance only through the media. And in democracy, first question was why? It is going to be closed now. The first question, because I will not give much burden on the students, and gradually I will increase the speed of the time of taking the lecture. The first question was why it is a fourth pillar. The one reason I have given that it is a means, it is a tool, it is a source to raise the voice of the people up to the government and governance. This is one. And I have also said that a media, independent media, impartial media, a free media is only possible. You will use all these words at the time of writing your answer in the question of the question in the answer book. Words, legal words. Free, impartial, independent media in democracy have the power to raise the voice of the people before the competent and appropriate government, so that government may feel, administration may feel the accountability, responsibility, liability, and that accountability, that responsibility will develop the democracy. And what is the real democracy? Real democracy is that democracy where there is a participation of the people. And participation of the people directly is not possible, but indirectly, by raising the voice, by asking the question, and by making the demand from the government or to the government, only it is possible through the system of media. Therefore, media have power because the public is with the media. And the center point of the democracy is, the center of the democracy is the people of particular country where there is a democracy. Their demand, their expectation, and their legitimate claim only can reach up to the parents patriae of the democracy. Parents patriae is a Latin word, who have the responsibility like a parents. Government have the responsibility like a parents to fulfill the demand of the public. to fulfill the expectation of the public. If that responsibility shall not be fulfilled, then only the source to compel the democratic government by adopting and the very useful system of participatory democracy is the media. This is another reason. And the third reason, that in a democratic system, the media have also the responsibility. And what kind of responsibility lies on the media person as a fourth pillar of the democracy? That is impartiality, first of all, nispakshata. The second is independentness. And third is the dedication. Dedication to the services of the people. And fourth reason is that a habit of the media person to search out the truthness responsibility. If it is a fourth pillar, if it is a fourth organ, if it is only possible in democracy, if it has the duty to raise the voice of the people and to point out the lacuna and reality and to give the information to the people by using their tools, then there is also the responsibility. And that responsibility shall be performed by media persons with the help of the people. With the help of the people. The meaning is thereby that the people of right thinking have also the duty to support to the media person by providing or by imparting the right information to the media person. They have the duty also. And if they have the duty, they means the people, the public have the duty. It means the interrelationship of media with the public. Interrelationship. Without the help of the public, although the duty of the media is in the interest of the public, another side, the media have the responsibility to take the help from the public. They have the responsibility. This interlinked responsibilities, duty, and impartiality to point out and to publish the correct information so that correct information to the public by using own tools, maybe electronic or some others also. And the government, no doubt, shall work according to the provision of law and diligently, बहुत सतर्कता से. If there will not be any diligentness, activeness, awareness, a smartness to fulfill the own duty within the time, then certainly the media will give the information to the public, and public is the center point of the democracy. Then it will affect the system of the administration, so that that administration will come or will perform the activeness duty that is there. And this system